I just figured I'd take advantage of some of the webinars that are being offered.
Yeah, good to have you here.
Thank you.
Vanessa, what type of business was it? I'm sorry.
We're owners' representatives in construction.
Okay.
So kind of the liaison between an owner and all facets of the construction that take place when you're building whatever.
Interesting. Bobby?
Good morning. I'm Bobby Lang, and I'm with Ferris Engineering, and we do mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, fire protection, design, engineering.
Great. Good to have you here. Scott, how are you today?
I'm good, Jim. How are you?
Fine, fine.
I'm with ActionCoach.
He's one of us. And Simply Golf.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. So Mark Baumann with Eagle Hills Golf Course.
Very good. Good to have you, everybody here. Yeah. Brian, you'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. You can see that I've begun recording, so we did capture a few of the introductions. Brian White with the Sarpy Chamber, so we're excited to coordinate with Jim to be able to offer these weekly webinars, part of the Business Builder 360 program. So a quick introduction of Jim, and then we'll get started. Jim Barger has been an action coach for over 11 years after starting and building businesses in New Zealand, Denver, and Omaha. ActionCoach is the world's largest coaching firm, and Jim has experience in a variety of industries and locations. Today, we are focusing on 6 steps to business growth. Thank you, Jim.
Well, great. Good to be here. I put the screen up. Hopefully everybody can see that. And we're going to talk about 6 steps. I'll relate this a bit to our current situation. And we certainly are in a situation where we've come through kind of a survival period. We're kind of now trying to put it into drive and move forward. And then we're going to try to get ourselves into a thriving mode again once we come through this. So 6 steps to a successful business, how to grow your business, that's what we're going to work on now. And so that's me. I'm a Nebraska guy, got an MBA from UNO. I then went off to New Zealand and purchased the Burger King franchise and with a couple of partners and built 60 some restaurants in 6 years and turned that into a $100 million company. So that was a lot of fun. Came back to Omaha, like, why wouldn't you come back here from New Zealand, right? But been married 38 years to my lovely wife, Janet, and we have 2 daughters living in the area. And I'm a business coach and a mentor and a trainer. So that's kind of my background. And let's just talk then about a business. So sometimes we find that business owners have a business that kind of drives them, right? They're kind of forced to do what they need to do, and they head down all the time. And then sometimes there's business owners that take control of their business and move it where they want to go. We'll talk about how that happens in just a moment, but it is a very common thing for me to find business owners that really have this, have a job. Business owners oftentimes start a business because they work for somebody else and now they want to be kind of work for themselves. There's an old saying that says, you know, I used to work for an idiot, so I started my own business, and now I work for a fool. So hopefully that doesn't apply to any of you, but this is a common way to get started in a business. But when that happens, we kind of find these people look kind of like that. Just over broke. They may make a good living. They may have a good successful business, but pretty much every day and every year is just starting over and trying to do it again. And one of the things they're missing is the idea that if you're building a business, you should be wanting to build an asset, one that you could sell or pass on to the kids or whatever you decide to do with it. So we want to get out of that mindset of just making it through and breaking even. Brad Sugars is the founder of ActionCoach. He was here in September and had a great time with him here. But he has this quote that I like, owners rarely fail because they didn't work hard enough, and they rarely succeed because they worked harder. And if you think about that, it really kind of has to do with just acting smart, working smart. Because a lot of business owners I meet are struggling, they're having a hard time, but it's not because they're lazy, it's because something else is going on. They're working 80 hours a week and they're trying hard, but they're just not getting ahead. And meanwhile, there's some other people I meet that are playing golf on Wednesdays, and they have a very successful business, and so they seem to have found a way to build a business that is successful with them there or not. And in fact, that is our kind of part of our definition of business. So when I ask myself, so why do businesses fail or not succeed as well as they'd like? I think this topic of education comes up. We'd like to, we really think about businesses failing. Obviously, it's cash flow, or they don't have the right target market, or they haven't done their marketing well. But in the end, it means that they don't know the right things. They're not implementing the right ideas. They have not quite figured out the business model, and they're not sure how to move it forward. And so that lack of education is what kind of slows down our businesses. And when we think about education, you think about how you learn to be a business owner. It's very likely that you probably just started your business and got started. We kind of learn it by trial and error, which honestly is a very expensive way to start a business or any endeavor. It takes a long time to learn. You make a lot of mistakes, and you have to cover those mistakes at the cost and the time as you go along. So there might be a better way to learn to be a business owner, but this is the most common way. Obviously, we do that. Most people don't take a class in business ownership or some sort of specialized training. We just hang the shingle out, which is also one of the cool things about business. We can do that. And actually, the two most important roles in a business is the idea of what is the business owner supposed to do? What's their role in the business? And salesperson. Oftentimes those are combined in the first few years. But business owner and salesperson are not topics taught in business school. I've got an MBA, which is great. Love it. It was a good program at UNO, but we didn't have any classes in ownership or salesperson. So these are the things that we have to find other ways. Well, let's talk about successful business. So if we're going to build a business and we want that business to be a successful one, we got to first start with the definition of success. What do we mean by a successful business? And some people might say, make a lot of money, or give me a lifestyle that I'm looking for, which is all good. But I'm going to share with you the ActionCoach definition of a successful business. And it starts with this. We start with the idea of a commercial, profitable enterprise. So commercial is buying and selling goods and services. Profitable is pretty important if we're going to have a business, although a lot of business owners don't have a profitable business, and we call that a hobby in the ActionCoach world. And I meet a lot of hobby owners out there. And finally, we have this enterprise, which means it's an entity, it's a sole proprietorship, or a LLC, or a C Corp, whatever it is. It's an entity legal entity that's running. And then we add this set of words, and this is where we start to get into kind of new ground for a lot of people. In our definition of a business, it's the business that works. We want the business to do the work, not the business owner. The businesses oftentimes that I see are kind of riding on the owner. They're not building themselves. They're not functioning as a standalone unit. They're totally dependent on the business owner, and so it's the business owner that's working. We want it the other way around. We want the business to do the work, the business owner to get the benefit of that. And we're going to talk about how that happens in just a second. So that is, in fact, the final part of our definition, is that we want the business to work without the business owner. So some people kind of look at me like, well, you're crazy. My business couldn't possibly work without me. And that may be true. Certainly it might be true now. But if you think about a business, maybe working without you for, a weekend, that might be really nice to have. Or a business that actually you could take a week off and go on vacation. That'd be great. And then there are people that have businesses that let them go away for long periods of time and maybe only come into the business, a couple of days a week or once a month. So these are possible ways to have a business. And we think that that's what your goal ought to be. A successful business is a business that does the day-to-day work without the business owner having to be there. You're welcome to be there and probably should be, but it should function without you getting involved with every transaction and every decision. Well, that would be great. That maybe sounds like a pie in the sky, but how would we get there? So ActionCoach has kind of a path for that we call the 6 steps. And so the 6 steps to a successful business or results looks like this. And we start with a bottom level called mastery. And mastery is just understanding how your business works and what makes it go. We try to make sure that we have the information we need, and that eliminates chaos and that sort of thing. And so by doing that, that gives us some stability in our business and allows us to take the next step, which really is into marketing. This is where we're going to try to get predictable cash flow and make some money. In mastery, you might not make money, but at least maybe you know that why, or maybe you know that you aren't. And we'll talk about what each of these steps looks like in just a moment. If we have to do the marketing right, that can generate some cash flow for us, and that's good. That lets us move to the next level, which is leverage. And leverage is the efficiency side. It's getting the business systemized so that it can work without us. And that allows us to keep building our team. We may have employees below, but we want a team that's going to be able to run it without us being there. And that lets us kind of build a structure for growth. Probably then at that point, we can think about that general manager role, somebody that's going to run the business. If I'm not going to run it, then somebody else needs to. So we find a general manager role. And that allows us to go into a synergy mode, which now the business is working without me. And it allows me to think about things like opening a new business, building a branch office in Des Moines, or franchising it, these types of things. It allows me to do something with that business that works without me. And that in the end is going to provide passive income or allow me to sell the business. And that gives us this freedom level where the business owner can do what they want. They can work in their business, they can work out of their business, they can have a different business, so they can go to the beach. And that would, any of those are good options. So those 6 steps kind of giving us a framework that we build on. So each of you need to look at your business and think about this framework and how you can actually use that to get there. We're going to go into some detail now on each one of those. If we do all those well, though, we're going to end up with massive results. We're going to get good numbers. We're going to get our time back, and the business is going to be working for us. Well, okay, let's talk about mastery. So the mastery is all about the commercial enterprise part of the business. It's the idea that we know what business we're in, we know what our business model is, we're organized in the proper way, and it allows us to work on our business. The issue is to get away from this chaos problem. We find that, if you study business, people in chaos just gives a tremendous amount of mental anguish. It can cause business failure, obviously, if you don't know what's happening in your business, or certainly underperform. You can have family problems, you can have poor physical health, and a lot of it is just anxiety. In fact, the business may be operating okay, but we don't know. We're afraid there's something, the other shoe is going to drop, right? Something's going to happen that, come from left field. We're going to get something that we don't know what to expect. So we got to get away from that chaos mindset and get more into a control mindset where we are in charge of the business and the business is doing what we want. And under this side, this is mostly about information flows and what do we have to have. And obviously the very first place to start is money. You've got to be in control of your money in a business, because a business is basically a money creating machine. That's why it was designed. That's its role. It's up to you as the business owner what you do with the money, okay? But a business is designed to generate cash. And so we need to understand that and measure how well we're doing. In ActionCoach, we share 4 areas of mastery. And the first one is probably the most important. And this is destination mastery. And think about this in terms of, where do we want the business to go? So right now, if you wrote down, what will your business be like when it's finished? If I asked you that question, you would probably all just stare at me blankly. You may be anyway. But when I ask, how do you know when your business is done? What is the ultimate goal here in this business? It's not a life sentence, all right? You work on your business for a particular goal. And the goal is a business that works without you. You know when the business is finished, phase one maybe, when the business achieves the level where it now can operate without you having to be there all the time. And so if we can define when that is, what that looks like, things like the organization chart, what does the business look like when it's finished? How many employees will there be? What are the roles that have to be filled? We have to have our business plan. Do we have a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan? Do we have a 90-day plan that we can be working on? So destination, it's where am I going? It's interesting with new clients, when I meet people, I ask this question, a lot of times they don't have an answer. But the fact is, what I've learned about in being a business coach is that no matter what they say, no matter what they come up with, I can coach them to it. I mean, and they can achieve it. If somebody comes and says, I want to do $1 million business, then okay, we know what the steps are to that. And we're going to have to do some marketing, and we're going to have to hire some people, and we understand how that works. When we went to New Zealand, I and my partners, we set a goal of 25 restaurants in 5 years. So, okay, we knew what that was going to be. Marketing, people, plan, right? It's the same process. It's just different numbers. It's just a different step up in kind of thinking about the size. And in fact, we beat that mark, and we actually achieved 60 Burger Kings in 6 years. So what was that? Different marketing, more people, different systems. So, no matter what somebody tells me is their goal, I look at it and think, okay, if that's your goal, there's a way to hit it. You just have to go to work now. That requires you to get to start putting the plan together. So destination, number one thing, you better have a good, clear picture of where you want to go with your business. If you don't, you'll live the same year over and over again. The second area is money mastery. So here's where we talk about financial statements. If I ask you to explain your P&L, can you do that? Can you explain your balance sheet? Less people can do that. If I ask you what your statement of cash flows looks like, then none of you will know what I'm talking about. And yet that's probably the most important financial document of all. So this is just a process where you have to learn these areas. You need to understand how money works, what the financials are. They're not hard. They're a little confusing. But if you have somebody just spend some time with you, your accountant or bookkeeper will do that. And they can teach you how to read these pieces. And then you have to talk about business model. What's my margin? What does my pricing look like? This is all the money mastery section. So you got to have a good, clear picture of what that's going to be in your business. Time mastery is you personally. How do you spend your time? How do you manage your time? Or do you find yourself rushed all the time? Are you managing your calendar well? And so time mastery is very important. And then delivery mastery is the fourth area of mastery. And delivery mastery has to do with how do we deliver our product? How do we manufacture it? How do we prepare it? How do we deliver it to the customer? So everything from manufacturing to logistics and getting it delivered are important. And so we have to get better and better at that and be creative. All these areas allow you to be creative, and that's what part of the fun of business is, that we get to design our own business. Nobody has to tell us how we should run our business. We get to choose all that. And that's part of the fun of why we do this, right? Otherwise, we just get a job and somebody else can tell us what to do. All right, that's mastery. So having looked at that, we're moving up this ladder now, and we get into this marketing area. Marketing, of course, is the profitable part of the business. This is where we're going to generate some money. And so when we talk about money and marketing, we usually talk about a niche, all right? Target market, that sort of thing. And so here is the ActionCoach definition of a niche. All right, so write that down. This has to be the goal. Now, what do I mean by that? Of course, we always have pricing issues and questions. It does not mean that you can charge $1 million for a Whopper. I tried once, nobody bought one. But what it does mean is that we don't compete on price, because competing on price is just a no There's a no hope scenario. There's only one person or one company that can be the low price company. So if you compete on price, you better be ready to take on all comers and truly just be able to source your product and deliver it at a price nobody else can do. There's no benefit in being the second lowest price in a market, right? Because if somebody's really price driven, they're going to go to the lowest price. So what this means, we have to compete on something else other than price. Well, what would that be? It might be speed or quality, or I think we talked about unique selling proposition in the first webinar we did. It could be on location, it could be on convenience, it could be on selection, it could be on customization. We compete in areas other than price so that we don't get trapped in a price hole, and which is very dangerous. So for example, here's 2 cans of Diet Coke, my favorite drink. And I drink these every day. And sometimes you can buy a can of Coke for 25 cents. And then other times you have to pay $1.29. So which one do you think you'd buy if they were exactly the same, sitting on the counter in front of you, in every way? Which one would you choose? You'd choose the 25-cent one, because there would be no reason to choose the other one if they're exactly the same in every way. And yet I buy $1.29 cans of Diet Coke all the time. So where would I do that? Why would I do such a silly thing? Well, of course, there are gas stations, convenience stores. They're cold, they're there, right? I'm willing to pay the extra money. Otherwise I have to drive to Costco and get them for 25 cents and take them home, put them in the refrigerator and wait a day. So, the $1.29 is driven by other things than the product. It has nothing to do with the Diet Coke. It has everything to do with convenience and temperature and where I'm at any given time. So that's the difference in these. If I went into a gas station and it was $1.90, would I still buy one? Of course. What if they were $2.50? Would I buy one? Of course, right? I buy $2.50 Diet Cokes at restaurants all the time. And sometimes when I'm at a hotel, I pay $3 or $4 for a can of Coke, right? This is, the pricing, again, has little to do with the actual product inside. So when you think about pricing, you've got to be thinking about that with you. So I'm going to now share with you the most powerful business secret you'll ever learn. This is so important. I hope you all just take some notes, and we're going to send out these slides to everybody in a bit. But I want you to pay attention to this. This is pretty important. It's called the 5 ways, and it's something that we do in ActionCoach, which is very important. You can see here that there's 2 cars here. There's an Audi R8 and a VW Golf. If I was going to offer you one of those cars, you'd probably take the Audi R8. But the fact is that they're both built on the same chassis. And so that just tells us that if we understand the idea of a chassis, it's the underpinnings. It's all the stuff underneath the car, not the way it looks and the engine and that sort of thing. And the fact is that every business in the world has the same chassis, the same underlying structure, and it's critical that we understand that. So if you're going to listen as I take you through this, you'll understand the underlying chassis of every business in the world. And the more you understand it and the more you use it, the better your business will get. So 5 ways. Most people like to think about customers and revenue and profit, but the fact is that these are all just results. And so we actually want to look at these 5 ways in a different way. So here's our formula. This is our 5 ways formula. Customers, revenue, and profit all have an equal sign in front of them. So they're just the results of things, and they're the results of these 5 areas. And now these may look familiar to you now. You probably have heard these before. Number of leads times our conversion rate, how well we are at selling our product, gives us our customers. Those customers buy from us a certain number of times, and they spend an average dollar amount with us. If we multiply those numbers together, we get our revenue. If our revenue, we have a profit margin in our business, we multiply that by the profit margin, gives us our profit. So that's the model. Most people just haven't really looked at them quite like this, even though they maybe have seen the line items. So let's show you a quick example. If we had a business that had 4,000 leads with a 25% conversion rate, they'd generate 1,000 customers. And if those 1,000 customers bought from our company twice a year, and they spent $100 when they came in, it would generate $200,000 in revenue. So a nice little business, small business for somebody. If we had a 25% profit margin, then that would generate a $50,000 profit for this company. So it's a successful business. It's doing well, pretty good numbers for a company doing $200,000 a year. But let's say we want to grow this business. We want to make it a bigger business. We want it to be more successful. What could we do? Well, we could, spend a lot of money on marketing. We could do all kinds of things. We could think we're going to double everything. But let's just be realistic and think about a 10% increase. What if we just got a 10% increase in each of the 5 ways? And let's see what happens to the numbers here. So the 4,000 goes to 4,400. Our 25% goes to 27.5. We don't need a giant jump here. We just need to do a few things to improve that. Maybe we're going to read a book on sales, or we're going to redo our brochures. But either way, we multiply that out. We now have 1,210 customers. So that's a good jump. We've got some more customers. They're buying from us twice a year. If I get a 10% improvement, we're going to get them to come back once more every 5 years. So maybe we send out an email, or we put an ad out, or we just write to our existing customers and say, hey, we haven't seen you in a while, come back. We just need a little bit more return from them. And when they come in, we're going to get them to buy spend some more money. So we could raise our prices, but we could do fries with that, or upgrade the option, or we could move them to a nicer product. Either way, we're going to try to get them that average sale up to $110. And if we do all those, the revenue of this business now goes to $292,000. So that's pretty significant. And our profit margin, we're going to try to just watch our light bill, maybe review our insurance, whatever it is. We're just going to try to find a 10% improvement in our margin. And if we do that, our bottom line profit goes to $80,000. So that, if you're making $50,000 on your business and you can make 80, I'm telling you, that's a pretty significant jump. Frank, for your business, I know you probably just had to zero to all those, right? That'd be good. All right, and so the fact is, that's a 46% increase in revenue and a 61% increase in profits. So it's working on these little things, each of those 5 ways. You got to work on all 5 though, because if you work on one, you're only going to get a 10% improvement. So the point here is that you want to focus on each of those areas, and that's something that you can do just in your own business. We do a free workshop on this at ActionCoach, second Friday of every month. Actually, it's coming up this Friday. But I'd love to have you come and join us, and we dig into some of the strategies that you could use to do this. But the point is, it's little stuff, okay? You don't have to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. And that's what's pretty cool about the 5 ways. So Warren had some good advice for us there. Well, okay, so, that'd be an extra $30,000 in profit. What would we do with that? We might get a new car, or we might take a vacation. That'd be great. But then we have to say, well, what if we do if we had some extra time? What if we could generate an extra 300 hours this year that we could use? So at that point, maybe we want to spend some time with some important people and, enjoy our life a little bit better. That'd be great. And the way we do that is leverage. In ActionCoach, we call leverage the key to business success, because doing leverage means that we get paid more for doing things just once. And the best example of that is if you write a book and people buy it forever, you get royalties off of that book forever, right? So that's leverage. I did it once and I get paid forever. But there's lots of ways in your business that you can use this idea. Leverage is that works part of our definition. It's how we get the business to work for us. And so leverage is a critical topic. It's all about generally systems. So if you can create systems in your business, they will save you time, energy, and money. And so this is just the best way to start. My quick example of this, if I owned a hotel or a motel, and I hired a housekeeping person, and they came to me and they said, what do I do today? And you'd say, well, go to room number 5 and make the bed and vacuum the floor and clean the bathtub. And they went off and did that. And then they would come back and they'd say, now what do I do? And I would say, go to room number 12 and make the bed and vacuum the floor and clean the bathtub. And they would go do that. And they would come back and they'd say, what do I do now? And you'd say, go to room 22 and make the bed and vacuum the floor and clean the bathtub. There is a better way, right? I could make a list of these are the things you do in your room. Here's a list of the rooms to clean. I'll see you at the end of the day. And they wouldn't have to come back and bother me or interrupt me all through the day. That's a system that saves me time. And so that's the kind of thing you want to be thinking about. It could be something like a checklist, like we just talked about, or it could be computer systems, or it could be other types of systems. It could be any type of thing that the whole point of it is get more work done with less of your time, because it's all about getting you freed up from the day-to-day operation of the business. There's 4 ways to leverage a business, and here they are. So the number 1 way people do, they hire people to do it. I'm a solopreneur, and now I hire a salesperson, or I hire a marketing person, so I can hire a person. The next way to do it, usually people, is I hire more people, right? So now we get more people. Third way with people is I might actually get better at hiring, and I might do a better job of interviewing, and so I get better people. And finally, I might take the people I have and educate them or train them and make them more valuable, give them more information, knowledge to make them more capable to do more work. So people in education is kind of the first way. The second way are systems and technology. And like I said, it could be computer systems, it could be iPads in every unit, but it could also just be paper systems, keeping track of customer preferences or whatever. Just anything you can do to save yourself that time and energy. The third way is delivery and distribution. And this has to do with your product. How do I design it in a way that we can manufacture it better or get more efficient at installing it? I love the whole idea of computer software. There was a time when it came in boxes, and the bigger the boxes, the more shelf space you got. So you ended up with a floppy disk and a 4x4 foot box, because that was the best way to get seen. And now software has no physical cost. Basically, it's all electronic. So what an amazing improvement in leverage and savings on and cost through delivery and distribution that was. And finally, the fourth area, which might be a little confusing to you, but the idea of testing and measuring. It's basically an information side. It's testing things to find out how they work before we roll out the massive campaign. And certainly it's measuring of the results of anything we do to find out whether it was useful or successful in doing what we wanted it to. We need to be able to test and measure all of our ideas so that we can leverage the knowledge that we gain with that. So these are the 4 ways to leverage a business, and that's all about our time. There's actually 9 steps to systemizing a business, and I won't go through all these, but you'll get the idea. You need that vision statement, clear picture where you're going, that mission statement, how are we going to do it? That's kind of our business model. We need to understand our culture in our business so that we can hire the right people, goals for everybody, clear organization chart, and people understand what they do, position contracts or descriptions so that we can make sure they understand how to be successful in their role, KPIs, ways to measure key performance indicators so we can measure our progress, how-to systems. These are manuals and training videos and everything we can do to show people how we do what we do. All of our management systems so that we can keep track of our business and the finances and other information. So these are the 9 steps that we talk through about in these. And if anybody's interested in these, I'm happy to give a free coaching session. We spend time with people all the time, just kind of helping people understand what's next in their business. So, okay, we've worked our way up through leverage, and the next step is team. Team is really the whole without you part of this, because if we're going to have this business run, then we're probably going to need a general manager, and we're going to need a way to get good, solid people in the business that can work without constant supervision and constant direction. So let's think about team. I'm sure that this is true for you, that most employees are motivated, energetic, committed, enthusiastic, loyal, right? This is what we know about employees. Except maybe for those 8 hours a day they work for you. Tom Peters' little jibe at people. But the fact is that this is true. Everybody is enthusiastic about something. We just need to find the people that are going to be excited to spend time with working with us and help accomplish our organization goals. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Well, this is a little description of what happens with a business. Usually there's a business owner, starts a business, get it up and running, and they're kind of a solopreneur and they go along. You know, they get some customers, and so the business is growing. And eventually when the business gets to a certain size, we need to add some employees. And so we add a team and we bring them in. And oftentimes we continue to run our business like this. The owner is heavily involved, doing the business, taking care of the customers. The team is kind of a necessary evil. We need them to finish off the orders or to deliver the product or to make the product, whatever. But the business owner, you can see, is really focused on the business and customers. The problem is when you add a team to your business, this shifts. This whole thing has to go the other direction. Now it needs to go this direction. And so now the team, the owner, has to be focused on building the team, creating a team, training the team. The team then will take care of the customers, and the team will take care of the business, and the business return will come back to the owner. And when we add a team, we have to shift our whole thinking, because now this becomes the most important relationship in the business. So the business owner has to spend more time thinking about their team than they do about the business or the customers. We have to be focused as business owners on developing the team members so that they make us successful. Otherwise, we just keep working those 80-hour weeks, and we're frustrated and we can't grow. If the whole business depends on me, then the business can only grow so high, can only go so far, because I only have so many hours in a day. I can only carry the business so far. But a team gives us unlimited opportunity to grow the business to any size we want it to be. So as a business owner, I encourage you to ask yourself, am I spending chunks of my time on my team? Am I spending time training them, developing them, probably doing a better job of hiring them? And all of this comes into play at this point. When we have a team, we need to be thinking about what are the keys to a winning team, and there are 6 by us. Strong leadership is all about the business owner. We need to have some common goal. We have to have that vision of where we want the business to go. People need to understand the rules of the game in our business. You know, we wear our uniform, we show up on time, we're friendly, whatever the rules of the game are for you, you get to design those. But we need to all understand that's how we play our game in our business. We need action plans for everybody, which just means what are we going to do and when are we going to do it? We're going to have to start supporting some risk taking. If we're going to have employees, we have to allow them to make some decisions. So our training and our development of those people will take away the risk to some degree, but there's always some risk. And so for business owners, we have to be ready to take that. And finally, we have this 100% involvement and inclusion, meaning we need our employees to be 100% involved when they're on the job. And then we need to be 100% inclusive with them to include them in where we're going with the business and understanding. It doesn't mean we're not having decisions by committee, but it means that we have to include them as part of the team and make sure that we see them and they see themselves as a true part of the business. We want them to be involved with our business. I mentioned this a couple times, this idea of hiring. We've got to know how to do this, and most business owners don't do a very good job of this. We have somebody leaves, they quit, or we decide we're going to hire somebody, and we rush out and we hire the first person we see because we need people to work, right? There's a gap, and we hire whoever we've got, and we don't spend the time we need to recruit. And 2 months ago, you know, there were so many jobs and so few people that sometimes you've had to hire the first one just to be able to get one. But we need to spend more time thinking about what is this person that we need, what is their role going to be, what type of person we need, what is their strengths, what are their weaknesses. We need to have some understanding of that. We use a DISC in ActionCoach a lot, which is a communication style assessment. And there's lots of, strength finders. These types of things are really powerful and can give you a big leg up when you're hiring the right people. Because typically we hire the wrong person. It takes us 3 months to figure that out. Then we live with them for 3 months. Then we take 3 months to decide to get rid of them. By the time we actually get rid of them, it's been a year since we hire them. And so we go a long period of time without the right person in the position. So we need to break that cycle and get better at hiring. We should be experts at hiring as business owners. Well, okay, that gets us up to this final section here with the synergy and the freedom. Synergy really is, this is the whole section where we have growth and the ability to be free in what we do. Synergy is about, as I mentioned before, we might franchise our business or open branch offices or sell the business. It means I can do something with that asset that we have. And freedom just means that I now have the choice to stay in the business, start a new business, go to the beach, whatever I want to do. I have the freedom because I have income and I have time. And these are the ending goal of a successful business is where you go. I encourage you to think about valuing your business or thinking about, could your business be sold? And that should be the goal. Not that you do sell it, but always be thinking, how do I build an asset? My business should pay me in profit on a monthly basis, but it also should pay me by becoming an asset that grows in value. And I can build personal wealth by having a business that is worth money. And generally a business that depends on the business owner day to day to do the work is not very valuable. People don't want to buy those jobs. If you want a business that you can sell for a multiple, it has to be a business that is able to work without that business owner on a regular basis. And at that point, you can have a general manager and kind of put the business on autopilot. And maybe you come back once a week or twice a week or every month or whatever it is, but you're going to have somebody there that you trust and is going to run the business for you. Richard Branson has a nice quote. If you can learn to run one business successfully, then there's no reason that you can't run any number of businesses at the same time. The principles are the same. And in fact, they are. The 6 steps can apply to several businesses. You could be running any number of businesses at a given time and just using those same 6 steps to accomplish what you want to do. So now you have the path to follow in any number of businesses if you want. Well, I'm going to finish up here and to say that growth is one of the many topics on our Business Builder website. Business Builder, if you don't know, is free with your chamber membership. Everybody that's a member can have an account here. There's ActionCoach training on that Business Builder account. There's business courses that are online there that you can take. There's book summaries that you can kind of keep up with the latest books without actually reading them. They're about 12 to 15 minutes long for the summaries. Encourage you to look at that. We mentioned DISC. There's some free DISC assessments for you and your team on the Business Builder site. And there's more. So if you haven't done it already, you should go to sarpy.businessbuilder360.com. No www. It's just sarpy.businessbuilder360.com. Set up your free account. It just takes a couple minutes, and then just play around in there. There's lots of stuff to look at, and it tries to make it as clear as it looks at profit and team building and marketing and your own business owner development. It's all in there in different topics that you can look at. So take a look at those. So we'll take some questions, and we kind of walk through those 6 steps to build your business. And any thoughts or questions there?
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. What would you say is perhaps one of the most important steps to take?
Well, it's all about, I think, you've got to, with that destination side, taking a moment to figure out where you want the business to go. Too often we start a business, we're a plumber, we start a plumbing business, we're plumbing, right? We're doing the work. And if we don't take time to really think about, so what's my goal here? I'll just keep doing plumbing work forever because I won't ever take those next steps. But if I start by saying, okay, I'm going to start a plumbing business, within 2 years, I want to be not doing the plumbing. I want to be doing the business management side of this. And within 5 years, I want to be able to step away from it completely. it changes the way I approach it, because now instead of just getting up every day and thinking about the plumbing, I'm getting up thinking, who are the employees I'm going to need, and how am I going to grow my business to a size that it can pay for those employees? And it changes everything the way I think when I start with a plan rather than just a business. So that's the most critical point for everyone.
Jim, I have a question. As far as how often should you visit that throughout the year, as far as evaluating what type of market or vision for the company for growth on a growth standpoint? How often should you do that within a year?
Well, we certainly like to have our clients on a 90-day planning schedule, because if you can actually create your plan and then just execute it for the next 89 days, it makes it a lot easier. You don't want to revisit your plan every day and, maybe this changes, maybe that changes. Do all your thinking at one time, and then you can just go to work and do it. But in order to set up your 90-day plans, you do need kind of that 5-year goal, and then what's the 3-year step, what's the 1-year goal going to be, and then that enables you then to say, if this is my goal in a year, what do I have to do over the next 90 days to move that forward? So you got to start far enough out where you can work backwards a bit. Otherwise, your 90-day plans you don't even know what they're for. So, but yeah, the 90-day planning is, I find, hugely valuable, because now you can kind of get past this rethink. You don't want to rethink everything all the time. We kind of get into a loop then if we don't do that. But look, every 90 days you might say, hey, maybe I'm doing better than I thought, so maybe I got to up my target, or maybe I'm hitting some problems. So what's that mean? But you review those certainly on an annual basis. Here's my quick thing. We have a thing that's called 15-1-1-2. Okay, so 15 means 15 minutes a day. So 15 minutes every day to think about, what am I doing today? What am I working on? Do it the first thing in the morning, or if you want to do it the night before, fine. But take 15 minutes, solid, phone off, thinking about what's got to happen today. And then 1 hour a week. Find an hour a week, Friday, Monday morning, whatever, and kind of think through the upcoming week. What's coming up? What's going to be important for that week? Then 1 day every 90 days. So 1 day a quarter is the third thing. And so that's where you pull yourself out of your business for a day, get away from the office, and just rethink the plan, what does it look like? What do I need to accomplish? Make that a very detailed plan, so you only have to go back and actually just do to-do items instead of think about it every day. And then finally, the 2 is 2 days a year, which might be a great way to pull away with a team or advisors, whatever, and say, what's the new year going to look like? What's our annual plan going to look like for next year? So 15, 1, 1, and 2 is a nice pattern to follow. And if you just spend that time, you'll be amazed at how much more you get done and how much more effective you are.
Good stuff.
Are there any other questions? Well, we appreciate everyone taking the time. Jim, appreciate you devoting an hour each week to help and share, and it's very much appreciated. So thank you.
Sure, no problem. I just will mention, as we kind of come through the COVID thing, and we're trying to think about recovery and getting started again, this is a good time to be starting. In fact, it might be a little hard to actually make a 90-day plan right now, but think 30 days. What's the month of May going to look like? What are we going to work on? And you're going to have to kind of wait and see how things pan out over the next few months. But still, the principles are the same, and we want to be in control of our business and our life, not reactive, right? We don't want the circumstances to drive us. We want to get out there and do what we need to get done. So thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.